Episode 20, March 15, 2026. Moon facing the remains of Tianshen Guonan. 11,000 BC. 10:30 a.m. The seashell spacecraft parked on the surface. In the central control room, MUI Guangwu and 3 others and 4 Martians including Bison gathered to discuss the next action plan. Fox said, "The only thing left is to go back to Mars 10,000 BC. At that time, a nuclear war broke out all over Mars and the Martian civilization was destroyed." Bison said, "If beheading the war decision makers of all parties is not enough, use the firepower of the spacecraft to destroy the nuclear weapons of all parties involved in the war. It's useless." MUI Guangwu said, "The axiom of time travel is that if you observe the results that have already happened, then the cause that caused it cannot be changed. What we see, 2026 AD Mars was a barren land in 1930. And LaoDi even lived on Mars afterwards. The action to stop the nuclear war is impossible. If you do it, the best result is that time and space will be distorted, and unpredictable forces will destroy the first Martian civilization. The worst result is that time and space will be torn apart and the universe will disintegrate. The intermediate result is that time and space will become fragmented and very unstable." MUI Guangwu continued to explain, "This spaceship existed at the time of the nuclear war on Mars. At that time, it failed to stop the nuclear war. Now, the spaceship goes back to the past and meets the past spaceship. They are essentially the same thing. That is to say, the seashell cannot change its past behavior."緑地帯海沿いのビーチまで続く公園があります。物語はここで起こります。said Bison. "In fact, the 4 of us were all crew members of the spaceship at that time. We failed to stop it at that time. And what we did in the spaceship at that time cannot be changed." Everyone fell silent. "I have an idea that may be a reference," said MUI Guangwu. "This time, we saw the Mars colonization vanguard and the humanoid robots of ancient Mars. In the modern year of 2026, Mars is a barren land within. They have not survived on Earth. However, some of the ancient gods recorded in the data may be them. I wonder where they went. With the range of their spacecraft, they cannot reach other planets in the solar system. However, the size, gravity and other conditions of the Earth's satellite, the Moon, are similar to those of Mars." MUI Guangwu continued to analyze. Could they have gone there? MUI Guangwu talked about Wu Gang and change in the Guanghan Palace, as well as the legends of the Moon in several other regions. He also specifically introduced the disappearance of an Songzu's lover Tianshen Guonan on the Moon. Regarding this incident, judging from the communication records of our space agency's ground center, we cannot rule out the possibility of encountering alien creatures or intelligent robots on the Moon, he said. Because the accident occurred on the back of the Moon, the communication was interrupted. Next spring, the space agency will have a special moon landing to investigate this incident. "Okay, let's go to the Moon." Wild Bull stood up and said, "Go back and prepare, and set sail in half an hour to the modern Moon on March 15, 2026. Wild Bull said to Anani Songzu, "Let's go to the Moon together to investigate the Tianshen Guonan incident, which is also my apology to you." Main turret, MUI Guangwu was practicing sword alone, and when he saw the Martian Wild Bull coming over, he stopped. Bison said, "If Anani Songzu's lover Tianshen Guonan is found, you will be doomed. Don't you regret this action? Don't joke." Miki no Mitsuto said, taking out a piece of paper from his pocket and handing it to Bison. "Tianshen Kumio is dead, and the location coordinates of the body are written on the paper. It's good that you know it alone. Don't let the news leak out. And any Songzu doesn't know yet." Miki no Mitsuo instructed, "Park the spacecraft a little away from there. We will respond to the situation when the time comes." "I understand. Don't worry. No one else will know. I will drive it myself," Bison said. "When we get there, arrange someone to accompany Anani Songzu in the spacecraft, and it's best not to let her go down. We will go to the surface of the Moon to investigate. Makino Mitsuo was walking on the deck and saw LaoDi Guonan and Henyan Songzu sparring with swords, and asked, "What are you doing?" "We are practicing kitaji to Wayu." LaoDi Guan replied, "Teach me one or to move sometime." "The moves are simple. I'm explaining them to Henyan Songzu." LaoDi Guan said, "The essence of kitaji to Wayu is that when you practice to perfection, you can recognize the opponent's movements at the speed of light in your eyes. The opponent's movements are like slow motion in a movie." LaoDi Guan said, "This level cannot be achieved without practicing from childhood." "I understand. To reach one, unless the opponent is a top master, it is enough to defeat him or protect yourself." Hemiwai Guanwu said, "Henyan Songzu, practice well. There is one thing. If there are Martians on the moon, they have developed for tens of thousands of years and must be very strong." Hemiwai Guanwu said, "We must be fully prepared. If we all get off the ship, no one will stay. Go and call Shang Baoyan and teach her how to meet us on the ship if something happens." "I understand. Leave this matter to us. We will go find her now," LaoDi Guan said, and left with Henyan Songzu. On the deck of the Ship Shell spacecraft, in the cockpit, in front of the middle control console, sat the Martian bison. In front of the fire control console on the left, sat the Martian monkey. In front of the monitoring and communication console on the right, sat the Martian fox. The monkey entered Mototaman Space Cruise. Target, Moon on March 15, 2026 80 now. On the console and press the execute button. The light inside the spacecraft dimmed, leaving only the dim and direct lighting environment. And the space outside was like a vortex of water. The large screen displayed a panoramic image of the moon and subtitles, "Moon on March 15, 2026 AD now." The spacecraft was in orbit around the moon. The lunar surface, full of craters, slid backwards under the spacecraft. "It's more terrifying than flying over the Earth," said Atsuki Raminakutsua, "without an atmosphere or clouds. The bare surface of the moon gives people the illusion that they can reach out and touch it, and that they are about to fall." "Look over there," said Makino Mitsuru, pointing to the blue planet on the horizon of the moon. "Well, that's the Earth," said Kawakami Hakuren. "The Earth seen from the moon is really big." The Earth sank below the moon's horizon little by little, and finally disappeared completely. The dark space in the moon's surface illuminated by the sun formed a sharp contrast. The spacecraft began to slow down and spray downward, and the surface of the moon lashed in front of them. In a basin, the spacecraft stopped. Makino Mitsuru, LaoDi Guan, and Henyan Songzu and the Martians walked out of the hatch of the Ship Shell spacecraft onto the surface of the moon. Although they were wearing bulky spacesuits, they could run forward with hopping because of the small gravity of the moon. Obviously, the Martians are more adapted to low gravity. After a while, the bison left everyone far behind. The bison stopped at the entrance of a cave. Hemiwai Guanwu, who arrived later, saw a body in a spacesuit lying on the ground. It was Tianshen Guonan. Hemiwai Guanwu took out a piece of cloth and covered the transparent mask of Tianshen Guonan's helmet, and Henyan Songzu rushed to the side of the body, uncovered the cloth, and looked at Tianshen Guonan's face. She stood there for a long time like a wooden sculpture, and then sat on the ground. Hemiwai Guanwu couldn't bear to see her tearful face, and turned his eyes to the cave entrance. LaoDi Guan squatted down to comfort Henyan Songzu. Everyone was preparing to carry the body back to the spacecraft. Something ran out from the dark depths of the cave. Hemiwai Guanwu raised his sword to meet it and blocked it. He found that it was a Martian humanoid robot. The robot bypassed Hemiwai Guanwu and ran straight to the body in the spacesuit, pushed away the cloud, and used his body to protect the body and prevent them from touching it. Bison came to the robot and picked up the humanoid robot. The robot calmed down, talked to the buffalo for a few words, and then pulled the buffalo into the cave. Hemiwai Guanwu led the crowd to use a simple stretcher to send the body of Tianshen Guonan back to the spacecraft. He covered the body with the flag of Japan and pushed the body into the freezer. MUI Guangwu. And any unsung Zunbi Dao Jiguan walked into the Kithen first on the lunar module. Going further in, they found the return capsule. They circled the return capsule and found it damage to the return capsule. From the damaged hole, it was hit by a small meteorite. Going further in, they saw a Martian spacecraft. The hatch of the spacecraft was open. They walked in and saw Bison and the others were inside. Inside the spacecraft was a ruin, with some Martian remains and some humanoid robot wreckage. Bison was the last to come out, closed the door of the Martian spacecraft, where the only surviving humanoid robot, and followed the crowd to the Seashell spacecraft. The meeting room of the Seashell spacecraft. The humanoid robot showed pictures and video materials to the crowd while explaining everything it knew. Based on its memories, it roughly reconstructed what happened in the past.